All right, go green. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to see so many people. I know we have some folks still getting breakfast, so please proceed, get breakfast, get up and get extra coffee, do what you need to do. It's just wonderful to have the warmth and chatter in this room this morning. My name is Kim Tobin, and I serve as the Vice President of University Advancement. And what that means is I get to work with an incredible group of alumni and donors and an incredible team in University Advancement who's put this program on for all of you. So thank you for being here last night, today, tomorrow, through the weekend, whatever time you're joining us from all across the country and even locally here. I love the one story this morning. One of my new friends here, Lisa, she said, I'm from Langsburg, but I'm staying over with my friend tonight. And so leave it to a group of women to make a weekend, a day, really have an extra bit of fun and energy around being together. And what an amazing Spartan community we have here. So it's been a privilege. Somebody was asking me this morning if I had been involved, and I have to give credit to Amy Argel and her team. Amy back there, wave. Amy, whose brainchild this Women in Philanthropy Symposium has been. I just feel fortunate that I have a memory of all three of three. This is our third year, and I've just surpassed. It was in my first week, I think, my first year here, that I was able to take in this program. So I think it just gets better and stronger, and everybody, I see people, it's like a homecoming of folks coming back to campus and being together. So we have a real special treat this morning. We have a very big program, but to kick things off this morning, we have our new presidential family. The Guskowitzes are on campus, and Amy Guskowitz is with us this morning to spend some time with us. I know she'll be here for some of the morning and then tonight at Cole's house as well. So what a treat to have Amy. You've read their background. We just keep pinching ourselves that the Guskowitzes chose Michigan State University. They are a wonderful family, seasoned in higher education at Chapel Hill for almost 30 years. And serving as the leadership family of University UNC Chapel Hill. But we are just, getting to know them as a family. They're real people. They are Michigan State people. I can assure you, smart, humble, authentic, people who value family and loyalty and authenticity. So really excited. And we've just decided we're going to change the program. Sorry, guys, just a little bit. We're just going to stand instead of sitting back there. We both were like, we feel so far away if we sit in those chairs. So there's just two of us. So we're going to, Amy's going to join me up here and have some questions. We've done this, I think, the first week. I know it was the first week that you were on campus, right?
Yes.
We'll make sure
Hello?
your mic's working.
Hello? Yes.
There we go. All right. Well, we've got two mics working, but just did a get to know you format with Kevin and Amy. And I said at the end of the week after we did it, he said, let's do it again. And we had a different format planned for the evening. And he and I both decided Amy stole the show. So this is a good format for all of you to really get to know her and the community. So if you want to just say hello, and then we'll get started.
Good morning. Funny story. So I got a text from Kevin's executive assistant earlier this week, and she said, during your speaking engagements, do you prefer note cards or paper? And I sort of went, never had a speaking engagement before, and no one's ever asked me that question. So whatever you choose will be just fine with me.
And that stunned me because I said, you were, Kevin was a chancellor for 5 years at UNC Chapel Hill, but you will learn that they have 4 children. Amy is a realtor. And so she said to me this morning when I drove over here, she said, my partner's showing a home for me this morning. So here is a person who's doing it all. So you've been busy with your career and your family, and we're excited to embrace you in new ways, in all the ways you've been so willing to give us time. So
Absolutely.
thank you. So our first question, if you could describe in one word your first few months at MSU, what would it be?
That was easy. The word is welcoming.
Welcoming. Okay. What has made it so welcoming for you?
The people, you all, everyone has just welcomed me with open arms, had wonderful Michigan State stories to share. They've talked about what they've loved about their time here or their connections to this place. And told me where to go for groceries and the best restaurant and where to get your dog groomed. And it's been just such a warm welcome. And Kevin and I have just had a wonderful first 11 weeks.
This morning, the question was, where do you go to get running shoes in town? I said, there's a great place. It's called Playmakers. So I think you already put
It's on our plan for later today.
Yep, a reminder in her phone, and they'll be off to Playmakers. So, so talk about what steak hoagies, shuffleboard, and Spartans have in common.
Oh, that's fun. I'm going to put these down because that's going to be too hard. So what Spartans have in common is now Kevin and I are Spartans. Yay! But steak hoagies and shuffleboard are kind of how Kevin and I met. So we both went to undergrad at Westchester University, which is outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And I used to work at a deli making steak hoagies a lot. That was what they were famous for. And Kevin would come in because it was walkable from the place he lived off campus and get them. And that's kind of how we met. And then right next door to the hoagie shop was a bar called Jake's Bar that had shuffleboard, not the kind that you play on the ground, but the kind you play on a table with your hand. And Kevin is really good at it. And that's how we met. He taught me how to play shuffleboard, and it's a lot of fun. So
Great. Is this why your eldest child's name is Jake?
Kevin would say that. I just like the name Jacob, but Kevin would say he's named after the bar where we met. I don't know how I feel about that.
And then I see a shuffleboard theme because last week we had a leadership team building we do once a year. We did golf at the Lash Golf Center one year. Last year was cornhole at the Forest Acres Greens, and this year we did shuffleboard. So now I see why.
Absolutely.
We're over at Lansing Shuffle, which was really fun, by the way. So check that out. You need to put that on your list.
It is already on my list.
Great. Can you share with the group when you and Kevin knew you wanted to be Spartans?
That's a fun
Or when
story.
you did and when he did? I know maybe there were different moments.
There might have been different moments. In Kevin's role as the chancellor of UNC Chapel Hill, of course, he would receive phone calls or emails about other opportunities. And it came to a point where I think he was ready for a new challenge, a new adventure. And Michigan State's opportunity came along, and Kevin got started in the interview process. And neither of us had ever been to Michigan State University. And we said, we need to go. We need to experience it. So we came for the Nebraska football game weekend. Incognito. No one knew who we were. We kind of just snuck in. And we, Saturday morning, got up and walked all around campus. We got to experience the band on Adams Field preparing for the game. We bought tickets from somebody at the gate for $10 each. Sat really close to the field and watched them win, which was wow. And it was a beautiful day in Michigan. And we just said, this feels like it could be home. And that was the beginning of this great adventure.
Kevin pointed out those seats, and I'm like, really? $10 for those seats? I'm like, wow. We better not tell athletics. Can you give folks a sense of who Amy Guskowitz is? A little bit about you.
Oh, wow. We were talking a little bit about this in the car ride over here. Years ago, I attended a TEDx talk at UNC Chapel Hill. You're all familiar with TED Talks. And it stuck with me. And I think it's a really good thing to think about at all stages of life, especially for women. And it's about career paths, right? And about how a career path is like a zigzag for many people. But it's important to know that every step in that zigzag informs the next step. And my career path has been a big zigzag. I started out in college as a math and computer science major, which is just really interesting for me to think about because that is a zig that has definitely been a totally different direction from the rest of my life. I quickly realized in Calc 4 that it was no longer any fun. And I changed to elementary education, which was lots of fun. And so I taught elementary school for 11 years. My mom was an elementary school teacher. My grandmother was a music teacher. And so it ran in my family. And that was a fantastic career. And I think education has kind of been the foundation of who I am as a mother, as a real estate agent. It has permeated all of my life. I am now a real estate agent in the Triangle area of North Carolina. I am right now keeping that business going because we have a daughter in high school there who we're honoring, allowing to do her senior year next year. So I will continue to be back and forth. I again think education is key to all things that we do in this world, but it's back to that zigzag, right? The education kind of travels through the zigzag, and I keep thinking, okay, what will my next hat be? So I also am a mom to 4 amazing children, and I am so proud of that. And to me, that's been one of my biggest things that, I feel good about in life. So.
And they're great kids. I've met 3 of 4 at different points in the journey.
Yes.
So 2 of the boys,
You've met 3, yes. 2 of my boys and my daughter.
Right, came to the basketball game in March Madness.
Yes.
And their daughter came to campus a couple of times.
Yes.
But the most memorable that stood out to me is when she arrived with 3 of her high school friends, and Amy wasn't here. So Kevin had to rush back to Cole's house because his daughter, 17-year-old daughter, and her friends were coming, and they were calling, and I was like, wow, they're normal people. He's like, I got to make them breakfast in the morning. I think I'm going to make pancakes. I'm like, great. So that's what's happening in Cole's house. You didn't know, right? Yes. President Guskowitz being a dad, and Amy has just been a wonderful role model to all of them. I can see that. So
thank you.
Speaking of role models, who's been a role model or mentor to you, and what has have had an impact in your life in any way that you might share with this group?
Yeah, Kevin often talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with good people, right? And they don't necessarily need to be people who think like you. They need to be people that inspire you to be the best that you can be, right? And so I think in each of my career paths and in life, I've certainly been inspired in the beginning by my family and their support. But in my teaching career, I started out teaching in a school that was built probably in the 70s that was the open concept model. So imagine a room of this size, a little bit wider, that was divided up into 4 classrooms. And I was teaching here, but I could see the 3 other teachers teaching to 20-some children who were looking at them all at the same time. So that was the concept, I think, in the 70s. But they were amazing people, and they were my mentors getting started in that career. And so I think you just need to surround yourself with good people, and then eventually you're your own mentor, right? You go on to inspire others and to be mentors to others and to, help folks think about how they can be the best person they can be.
That's great. Yeah, I know you're involved in the Chapel Hill community in different ways. And if you can, obviously this group understands and lives that in their daily lives as well. So can you share a little more about community involvement and how that is important to you and what you might foresee as you transition to Michigan in the future?
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting involved in the community that you live in is important. And I think everyone should find something that they feel passionate about, something that inspires them, something where they feel like they can make a difference. I've done lots of different things over the years. When I stopped teaching for a while and was home with my children, I called myself a professional volunteer. But one of the things I loved doing was running a school reading partners program in the elementary schools where my children were. It was a program that identified kindergarten, first and second grade children who were at risk for reading issues. And it paired volunteers one-on-one to come in twice a week and read for 30 minutes, interact with these students in reading. And there was a training program that was involved with this. And it was incredible to watch the relationships between these children and these volunteers. I was in and out of the school daily, practically, for a long period of time. And at that time, we adopted our daughter from Vietnam. So she was in the baby carrier, walking into the school with me, into the workroom where I was setting up all the books for the children and the volunteers and creating the schedule. And it was really rewarding because you could just really see the impact on how excited these kids were when the volunteer arrived at the teacher's classroom and called the child out to go find a quiet spot and just get that individual attention. It was really great. And I could go on and on, but I'm going to have too many things to share. Another thing I love is an organization called Porch. And Porch helps food fragile families in the community. So the idea was started by a dear friend of mine, and it's the idea of leaving food on your front porch and someone comes along and picks it up and takes it to food pantries, and that has expanded into fresh produce that has been delivered once a month to families in need in the Chapel Hill community. And that has just been an amazing program and has grown. And now there are other porch organizations nationwide. I'm involved with Playmakers, which is not the shoe store I'm going to visit later today, but is the theater on campus at UNC Chapel Hill. I've been a part of the board and was chair of that board for quite a few years. I love theater, especially musical theater. Can't wait to attend many things at the Wharton. I'm very sorry I missed 6 last night. Heard it was great, seen it once before. But I have been involved with Playmakers, and that's just been super fun, very impactful. Because a lot of the work that they do really makes you walk away thinking about yourself and your impact in the community. And then the last thing I think I've gotten involved with more recently is Habitat for Humanity in my community in North Carolina. As a real estate agent, that just has a connection that everybody deserves a home that they can feel safe and that where children can grow and know that they have a bed to sleep in every night. And there's a great new community being built in northern Orange County called Weavers Grove Community. And it's one of the first in the nation that's designed, it's going to have 100 Habitat homes and 265 market rate homes. So it's going to merge Habitat community members with other community members in a really special and unique way. And so I've been excited to be a part of that community. So that was a long answer to a short question.
Great.
But those are some of the things I'm passionate about. And in terms of here, I'm still learning, right? So I'm still learning about all the amazing things happening here in East Lansing and the greater Michigan area. And I'm just excited to learn someplace new and see how I can become a part of it.
Those are, you interwove a lot of important topics and things for society in terms of housing and food sustainability. Are there things around women's initiatives and women's empowerment affirmation that you think are important and that are of interest to you, or is seeing the university working on in the space of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that all women should have the opportunity to explore whatever career path they would like to take. I was a math computer science major when I started in college. It was an amazing 2 years. I realized that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. But I think all women should have the opportunity in a university setting to explore the STEM fields or whatever area of research they're interested in. Kevin and I loved being a part of that at UNC Chapel Hill, and he and I are excited to be a part of that here and just helping women become the best they can be at whatever path they take on that zigzag.
Mm-hmm. Can you share about philanthropy and what it means to you, how you might define it or what it means to you?
I mean, I think it's just about finding what you're passionate about, right? It's just about finding what you connect to and how you think you can make a difference. And whether that's giving of your time or giving of your talent, or you're super busy and you can give funds towards making a difference. I think all those things are impactful and meaningful. And I shared with you 4 of the things that I've been involved with in the North Carolina community and trying to be impactful. And I think they've had meaning for me. They've brought me joy. I feel like I've made a difference. And certainly there have been periods of time in my life where I just haven't had time to be quite as involved. And then it's filling out how you can contribute in other ways. So I just encourage everyone to find something that is meaningful to them and figure out how you can make a difference.
That's great. You have a unique seat and window on higher education. So from all your observations, being part of the state of North Carolina, what things do you think about when you're thinking about and reflecting on higher education and its future?
She gets to the harder questions at the end. Y'all.
I'm going to compare her answer with Kevin's later.
His is going to be way better. I think the first word that comes to mind when you ask that question is access, right? That all people need to have access to higher education if that is their dream. And so it's figuring out how we as women, as philanthropists, can make a difference in creating pathways to access for young people.
That's so important to a land grant university as well.
Yes.
Public. So thank you for sharing some of those thoughts. We have a few minutes. I know we need to keep everybody on track today. We've got a robust program, but a few minutes if there are any questions from the audience. We have time for one or two. Maria's just going to make her way over. I'm going to kill a moment here while she gets to you. And as a hearing impaired person, I appreciate people using the microphone. So thank you.
Thank you. And welcome to Michigan State University.
Thank you.
So I think I'm going to ask the question that's the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Michigan State's been through some tough times leadership-wise the last 5 years. Were you intimidated by the prospect of getting involved with that and taking charge of it, you and your husband?
That is a great question. I think that we were both ready for a new adventure. And as I mentioned, there were opportunities that came across Kevin's plate before this one that we talked about. Kevin and I are both passionate about public higher education and its importance in our nation and the world. And I think that we both felt like, first off, in our visit here, that this was a place we could call home during that Nebraska football game Saturday. And secondly, we felt like it was a place where we could make a difference. There's just so many great things happening here. I heard Kevin talk last night. We were just chit-chatting about all of his listening and learning tour. And he talked about we were walking around campus at 9:15 last night, and he was saying, in this building, this is happening. And in this building, oh, you should see this spot. And the excitement in his voice was just so apparent. And what he says is, Michigan State folks are humble. And that's a beautiful thing, right? To be humble. But there are so many things here to celebrate, to elevate, to cheer. And we're both excited to be a part of doing that.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question? I see somebody. Oh, yep. Right there. Thank you. Microphone is making its way there.
I just wanted to say thank you for your talk. Michigan State is a very big place, and by that I mean internationally. You can pick up the news or listen to the news any morning, and all over the world there are Michigan State grads, whether it's Asia, Africa, and we were blessed to be a part of the host student program for many, many years. And as you look at, at MSU, did you want to reflect on any of that? We have these huge international programs, plant science, the general sciences, and it's, turf grass. So it means a lot to a lot of people all over the world. And did you want to reflect on that? And does your husband see that as a part of his vision for MSU in expanding that to include even more of these associations?
That's a great question. So I know Michigan State is a very proud land-grant university, the first public land-grant university, and that is something new for Kevin and I, right? Something new for us to learn about and to get to know. The turf grass management piece is super interesting. I think what a career path to choose in that zigzag, right? Who says I'm going to go into turf grass management? I want to meet that person. But I love that there are over 600,000 living alumni nationwide. I mean, that is just fantastic. And so I can't wait to travel in Michigan, around the country, nationwide, wearing green, and hear folks say, go green, and for me to answer, go white, right? And to not always be humble, to talk about what makes this place so great, and to be able to celebrate all the amazing things we do.
I know Kevin's been on his listening and learning tour that you mentioned and soaking up exactly, all of the things that are happening, and the international programs is already put in front of him a potential trip next year to make sure we signal to the partners we have that this is important, because it's been some time since we've had a leader be able to go abroad. So those are things we're talking about, and we want to lift up partnerships that we already have, and we're doing a lot of work in Africa and other places that are really integral to our history and our future, and a global world. Frankly, we have amazing agriculture programs and feeding the world and clean water and all of those really important topics that extend beyond borders are important to Michigan State, and I know that's been part of the content of his tour. So more to come, I'm sure, on all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the listening and learning tours that he's been on have been just super impactful. When I'm not here, we talk every evening, and it's just so fun to hear him share his enthusiasm for this place he visited that particular day, and all the amazing things that are happening here on this campus that he's getting a chance to learn about.
Great. I think I saw somebody else. Yeah, there we go. All right.
So the Board of Trustees at UNC Chapel Hill recently just diverted DEI funding to police and safety programs. I want to get your thoughts, and I don't want you to necessarily speak for Kevin, but as a Black woman at this university, I want to understand where you guys think those types of programs are going to go. Are we going to go the direction of UNC, or do you see the import of those types of programs?
I won't speak for Kevin because he and I have talked about this, so I can only speak for myself personally. I personally was incredibly disappointed with that. I think DEI initiatives are really important. In fact, when I read the news and I talked to Kevin about it, and I know the person who is the head of that at UNC Chapel Hill, and I said, could we get her here? Because she's just so great. And so it's something I think is super important to have top of mind, and I believe Kevin feels the same, and I don't think we'll be going down that path, or would be thinking about going down that path. It was, like I said, disappointing to me personally that was a new development at UNC.
And I would say, we've been on the road. We were just talking earlier about all the alumni groups that Kevin spent time with and getting to know, all of our affinity groups. Our MSUBA is, I think, our strongest alumni group. And somebody was sharing earlier the boomerang back that you'd heard from the DC area, that of all the work that he's been doing and in meeting people and understanding the history of what's happened here. He understands the issues in higher education, and is, I think, trying to navigate who we are as Michigan State, and more to come on once he's past his 100 days. I know he's said that he'll share more about his vision and what he'll be focusing us on in the future. So more to come. And he'll be at the reception tonight too. So
yes, he's looking forward to seeing you all this evening at Cole's house. Mm-hmm.
So I found, just asking him a question, and he'll be there circulating. So you'll get that opportunity to interact or meet him there too, to ask some questions of him directly. Do we have one more? Okay.
One of the things that you spoke about was when wanting to see something improve in the university, you talked about access. And of course, we know that's a very broad word. And I'm wondering if we could narrow it down a little bit more to look at tuition. The cost of an education. My son, who lives in Madrid, got his PhD and master's for under $9,000.
Right.
So what are you all thinking about tuition and how it negatively impacts students and leave them with loads of debt at the end of their college career?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this question, but I think that's something that we all think about, right? As parents, perhaps, or as college graduates. So we think about what we're going to commit to our education and how that might impact us moving forward. I think there's nothing more important than education, but making it accessible is something that, as a nation, we've been talking about for a long time. I know at UNC Chapel Hill, they started a program called the Chancellor's Science Scholars, and it helped first generation underrepresented folks get an opportunity to get an education with little to no debt. And that was really impactful. And it's a newer program. And Kevin and I really enjoyed getting a chance to interact with those students who are going to go on to make a difference in this world. And I think that's what we need to do, is to figure out how we can help those who really can make a difference in the world get that education that launches them into that path.
Also, I was just going to add too that, that's part of our land grant mission, part of this review of our strategic plan. How do we raise more scholarships? And, it's costly to acquire a higher degree in higher education, no question. And also compared to our peers, if you look at the data, our cost for attendance is actually at the bottom end of there's high value coming to Michigan State compared to other schools of the same caliber in the country in the United States. So that's tough because it's still very, very expensive. And that's what we're working on the development side, trying to make sure we're raising scholarships. I know, Para, we've talked a lot. Our dean of the graduate school is here in terms of raising more money for graduate assistantships and other things. So we want people who have the ability and interest to come to Michigan State for them to do so and not have financial barriers in front of them. So that's a core value of Michigan State. Obviously, you all know that, and just know we're working hard on it as well. One final question here.
Good morning, Amy. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. We're glad that you and Kevin are here. I have two questions, which are probably on many people's minds here. One is, what breed of dog do you have, and will it be at the dinner tonight?
Love it, love it, love it. Fun thing to talk about. So we actually have two dogs, but the famous one right now is Coda. Coda is an 8-month-old Cavapoo, which is Cavalier King Charles mixed with Poodle. He's a rascal. I took him back to North Carolina last time I left because he had the good fortune of getting neutered. And so I did not bring him back here with me for this visit because Kevin is coming to North Carolina for Memorial Day weekend, but he will be coming back again to Cole's house very soon. We also have another Cavapoo named Charlie, who is 5 years old and is working to get to know his little brother, and most of the time likes him, but sometimes not. But going back to the access, because that was a really good question, and I thought about it. We talked about giving and finding where you want to give your time, talent, or treasure. And I would say, all of us in this room are busy. And so if you can give of your time, you can give of your talent, great. But if you can't, sponsoring a scholarship and making a education accessible to a young person who might otherwise not be able to achieve that dream and that goal. Wow, what an amazing way to make an impact.
Mm-hmm. Well, today's all about impact and celebrating the impact, dreaming together, thinking and reflecting our own journeys. But we know this community of women who give. I chuckled at the line in the show last night that said, I have all this money and no man to tell me what to do with this. And we always have lots of ideas of how we can make the world a better place together through philanthropy. So thank you, Amy, for spending some time. I know this is
Thanks
just
for having me.
The first of many conversations we'll have. And it just gives you a sense of who Amy Guskowitz is, and more to come in the years ahead of us. So thank you for choosing Michigan State. We are so honored that you're here, and know you and Kevin are going to serve us well. So thank you.
Thank you. We're excited and honored to be here.